All right, Cyber Traders, welcome on back here this Wednesday afternoon, November 9th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Things aren't looking good, are they? Great to see all of us at least here inside the chat board. Karen and Warren still with us here. Jeff and Mike just from up top before. Leda and Andre just joining us now. Frog in my throat there, pardon me. But great to see all of us back on social media as well, Facebook Live or YouTube. I mean, hey, not all things are looking terrible. There's a few stocks pushing upward, going against the grain on their own accord. But obviously, looking at the markets today, we ended up having a pretty strong close yesterday, considering things. It was pretty volatile, but ended up after a brutal shake, bouncing back up, made a nice recovery. Here's the thing. We ended up getting a bit of slippage here heading into the open. It was like kind of going nowhere for a little while, the SPY. And that's where you think, all right, well, if it can break a higher high, then there's a chance to see at least some continuation and a move upward. But heading into the late morning, early afternoon, lower high, came back down, came flat, and bam, ended up breaking lower. Lower high led to a lower low. And going into the afternoon right now, there are definitely some stocks that are moving with the market as well, just as a great short. So we have NRBO on the screen here to begin. This stock on its own accord, making its own move up over like 47%. Looks like a Fausto flag's building pretty much across the entire day, holding underneath the highs there off 192 and 193 and making higher lows in the process. So we'll put this NRBO on our afternoon list just to start. I haven't really focused in on this trade as much across the early afternoon, so missed out on a subtle bounce from 175, the VWAP, up to where it's at now, 184, 185-ish. But we'll see if this has more legs to break new highs going into the close. Hey, there's a couple of other stocks that we're pushing up. We'll recap them as we go through. We have the natural gas ETF coal that's also holding pretty well there. Let's start with number one, though, MAC. This is just a really good example of why we don't need to just keep contained to the morning watch list, and that's it. You want to start with that list. Start with that list. I mean, it's better to start with that list than to wander off on your own, but once the stocks that are on our watch list die off in volume, that's where it's best just to move on to other trades. You don't want to get stuck watching this, just do nothing the whole day, right? I mean, if anything, this MAC trade ended up breaking below support early on after the open, 1267. Essentially, support became resistance. The first test of it, broke above it there briefly as like a false breakout, but then came right back down. Ended up I was expecting this to dump off way more than it did. So that could entice you to at least think, oh, maybe there's a chance it can pop. But otherwise, though, there's not much liquidity on the order book. And until it makes higher lows, then we don't really have a trade on this thing. I mean, it's gone literally nowhere today. This looks like a buyout, if anything. I mean, I'm not even going to check the news to care, but we're going to move on from this trade. It was a nice pop from early this morning in pre-market hours, but I'm going to pass here for the afternoon. All right, let's see what else we got here in the meantime. MAC, NRBO, got the OM trade, OM. This looks like a buyout. Really flat right there. ORPX, we'll keep it going through, folks. Callow was one in pre-market early on, but it really had some thin volume out there on the book, and I guess it popped a little bit after the open, but topped off right around that 770-ish area, 75 or even 79 the high, but there's a lot that's on the gainer side. I'd normally say there's not a whole lot of, moving up or, that's up big, but there actually is. We do have to go through this with a bit of a fine-tooth comb right now, folks. There could be some stocks that we haven't looked at that are like popping right in our face. So, obviously the SPY, the S&P is dropping off still, but there is a lot that is up that, 5, 10+%. Probably a lot of crap, but you got to weed through it. That's the purpose of this meeting here. PXMD, we are familiar with this stock. This stock, maybe like a couple weeks back here, ended up making a couple of days in a row popping up. Nice move, but it was strictly a day trade. Obviously, look what happened after. But, we're familiar enough with the trade. It popped before, but, I mean, little actually popped to the highs again. May have broken a new high here, but a really ugly shake after. So not fully jumpy to that one just yet. The natural gas ETF cold. I don't want to directly 100% correlate this, but when the markets are down, then you're going to see this at least be up a small amount. Not always going to go inversely against the markets and make a nice run up directly against it, but cold's up over 13% today. It hasn't made lower lows yet. So there's a chance it could pop. It really needs to shake off from that VWAP area, 1858, 1860 coming up, but yeah, right now I'm even going to pass on this. Got the NRBO on our watch list so far. That's it. We did miss out on GRWG popping up and running up again after the open here. There were other trades that moved up pretty nicely for us. So, this one kind of slipped past us a bit, but really ugly shake. I don't know what the hell happened even here. Let me just double check. That's the type of shake where you got to ask, like, did news come out midday? This thing ended up topping off at 530, 529, dropped all the way down at 460. Got no news on that. That is a brutal shake. I mean, this is a pot stock, so I'll just check out the pot ETF like MJ. I mean, it's a drop off, a little decline there, but that's brutal. That's terrible to have. I mean, I know a couple of the other pot stocks ran today, like CGC and Tilray. Whew, that is brutal on the GRWG. All right. We'll keep this on our side list, though, for like tomorrow morning. I'm not going to focus on it as much now, though. All right. Something that could directly go against the market. I mean, this is a semiconductor ETF, but bearish semiconductor ETF, SOXS, little pricey. So I'll just generally look at, the inverse ETFs like UVXY right now. That's obviously at the highs. SQQQ, pretty expensive as well. I'll put UVXY on our main list. If you normally do well trading the ETF UVXY, then you know exactly who you are inside our live trading room, right? Let's be honest. If you're hitting 50 cents on UVXY a day or 30 to 50, you know who you are. So you should definitely be pretty inclined to follow it. Listen, if you have Bookmap, if you have level 4, it makes ETFs a lot easier to trade. So, that's where I'd say, hey, if you do have level 4, then give it a shot. Definitely, then, it's definitely a good one for you to look at. If you don't have Bookmap, if you don't have level 4, I would rather you look at NRBO. It's going to be pretty hard to trade an ETF without Bookmap. All right, we'll keep it going here to wrap up the gainer side, folks. I didn't really see a whole lot else. I mean, that's to be expected at some point, but yeah, I think that wraps up the gainer side. We'll hop over to the losers list here. Man, CLVS not only down 71% today, but I mean, I guess it's mainly off this drop off, but geez, I mean, it became below $1 just a few days ago. I mean, from the last week, and then it's been on a steady decline for a bit. A huge gap down, and this is an oncology company, but we've been trading them off of like pharma news, off of drug news, and so forth. I have no idea what happened here. I don't care to check. Probably something in relation to like one of their phase 1, phase 2 primary endpoints, not achieving efficacy or whatnot. I'm gonna put my pharmacist hat on there. All right, TLS. This is down as much, and it is tradable. Like actually tradable. So, steady trend down at least across the afternoon. It is shortable on top, at least on my platform. So I'll put this on our list, not only because it's shortable for me, but if it fails to break lower, it is down enough percentage wise to where we could look for that proverbial dead cat bounce. So I actually hope that happens just for the sake that all of us could jump in long if that's the case. I know that some of us are trading out of their IRA accounts, cash accounts, and you can't short entirely. So on top of that, I mean, if you're not on TradeStation, maybe your platform broker doesn't have the shares. So I really hope this actually builds higher lows and pops to make the higher high later on. Nice little squeeze up. With that in mind, though, just to double check, I think this stock is at all-time lows. So it's a tough ask when a stock is breaking historical support when there's really no support at all to work off of. All right. What else we got here, folks? What else we got here on the loser side? Got a few cheapies. I'm not going to be as particular to look at the cheap stocks that are like shortable. If it's down that much, like TLS, CLVS, then I automatically like check it out. But I don't need to look at all. Like this one's super flat. Not much happening on this at all. Oscar, is this like Oscar Health? It is Oscar Health. Wow, taking a huge hit. I mean, just today and then just the last several weeks and months, of course, but at all-time lows here. I mean, I'm sure this will be a short squeeze eventually. OSCR. Don't hold your breath. Waiting for that squeeze though. SG, not all, I mean, actually, it's a nice squeeze here. Something happening on this chart. Nice move up from 1350 up towards 14. It's down 19%. I don't know how much room we can get. I feel like best case scenario, you can get like 50 cents out of this. I don't have a great need to put this on our main watch list right now, but let's see if there's others out there that look a lot better. Redfin, the stock is shortable on my platform. It's at all-time lows. Yeah, all-time lows. There we go. This is more of like a level 1 trade, if anything. There is direction. It is dropping off. It is at the lows, mind you. So, I'd be more inclined to put this on our main list, but I want to check out first like a firm. I want to check out Upstart. I want to check out Roblox. I mean, those are ones that trade more volume, and depending on their direction, I'll be more inclined to put on our main list. So a firm here, you could see just, generally holding above 12, waiting for that to, break out of this range here that it's built over the last 30, 45 minutes here. So we'll see if this could pop higher and what happens from that point, or if this ends up making a lower high here and snapping back down to try and test 12. I don't mind focusing in on the firm trade. And then also we'll just check out, like I said, Upstart, UPST taking a huge hit from the morning, but that actually led to a great dead cat bounce afterwards. So this one is still trading enough volume per minute. I'll put this on our main list too. And then Roblox. Roblox, this thing has been a train wreck today, namely off the 33 level. It took a long time for that to materialize, but this, I mean, is exactly what we covered in class just earlier today. I mean, we were actually using this in the swing trading course that we did today. I know that there was a little issue with email and Zoom. A couple of us, Michael and Chris, weren't able to get it. The recording of that will be on the student portal coming up. So just stay tuned for that, at least. My apologies. But, we were just talking about this trade in class. Like, the more times this needles the thread and tests support and pokes at it, what do you think is going to happen? So this ended up breaking below this area as support. It became resistance ultimately after the lows did, at least, and then led to a nice drop off from that point. So Roblox, just giving the overall activity for today, I'll put on our main watch list. Let's see what we have here as far as like a historical level. I'm on the weekly chart, so definitely not at all-time lows. All-time low would be off 2165, I believe. I mean, it definitely broke below a historical level here from the last like month and a half. 33.57, 33.61, 33.20-ish. So it did that earlier. So there is some historical support, but you got to look back a little further on this trade. So I'll definitely put this on our watch list here, the Roblox, see if it could squeeze at least up to 32 at first and go from there. All right. What else we got here, folks? That might just about do it across the loser side. There were a couple of others that had a nice day today. Like Plug had a nice pop at the open. That came all the way back down, didn't it? Karen asking to check out Carvana CVNA. Not a whole lot happening here. I mean, it's tradable by all means, like really liquid, good price. And, if it ends up making a pop, you best believe we'll call it out. But like kind of like middle of the road right now, it's stuck in this range. I will mention though, I mean, you could see it on the chart. It's right here. there is a massive spike of volume that took place at like about an hour ago at 1:43 Eastern. I'm going to make an assumption here. Hey, when you make an assumption, sometimes you make an ass out of yourself. I think this is a pretty strong assumption. I think a lot of that volume got filled right here at 7:45. That giant spike of volume. I'm led to believe that the majority of that got filled off the top of this bar at 7:45 right there. That's all I could really mention, Karen. But otherwise, I think that there's others to keep more of an eye on for this afternoon. WWW as a short. Shorting Wolverine worldwide. Interesting. It is dropping off quite a bit, down over 33%. It's hard to borrow, so that's probably why I just skipped over it, but it's really trending down nicely. So, yeah, I'll put this on our main list. Good call. Off the lows right now. It is thinly traded, so got to be careful in that regard, but spreads seem to be pretty contained now, Mark, right? So, I like that. Not at all-time lows, I don't think. Nope. But, I mean, it's right there. It's really at, like, historical levels for the most part, roughly off that 1219 and what is that 1252. So it's below there at this point. I mean, this could drop off a little bit further, but right around that 12-ish area, 1215 or so, that should be a pretty strong support level to watch out for on this trade over time. Mark saying Mac just popped. Let's be the judge of that here. All right, we got a little pop. We'll call this a pop. But, oh, man, if we don't get continuation, this is going to crash so bad. It will get halted on the way down so fast if this is a head fake. It's like just at the VWAP right now, right? Right off 1236. It's literally at the VWAP right now. So, good shout. Put this on our list in hopes of, a real support build over time. If this head fakes from here, scratch it off your list. Because if this head fakes from here, this is going to be brutal. This will be ugly. This will get halted going down if this fails to pop higher from this point. So got to be careful. All right. You know what? One from my list, and, this is more speculative. But Coinbase. I'm going to put this on our main watch list as a potential short because I am in this as a short right now. I've been in this really from the morning, but it's on such a small share count. It's not a moneymaker for me. It's like nice to still be in this position. It's actually moving up a bit since, but I'm looking for a lower high here, roughly from the VWAP off that 46.67. If it pops from there, then I'll likely just jump ship and get out. I'm in from 48.71 right now, so I wanted to see this really drop off a lot more, break below 45 again. Obviously, haven't gotten it, but we'll see where this can take us. At least I don't mind slipping this at least on our main list. All right, folks, then from all of us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, I don't see anything from you folks, and that's all right. I think that we touched upon them all here for the most part. Anything else I don't think really is worth our time. All right, so folks, hey, keep in mind, for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, I always like to post my email here at the end of these streams, josh@ctutrading.com. Any questions that you have, feel more than free to email me. For any of our students, at least, I know I have to get back to a couple of us that had emailed me from the end of the day yesterday, so just allow me the chance to do that later on this evening. But keep them coming in, though, and certainly for all of us inside the chat board in the trading room, you know where to find me. Just private chat me coming up here. I've been talking to a lot of us just through the private chat during the day today, and any questions that you folks have, definitely just shoot over a quick private chat to me there. All right, folks, but from 3 o'clock onward, you'll have Rich on the mic, and then I'll just be in the chat board here and out, just monitoring Coinbase and seeing what else is out there here, taking us into the close. If you haven't realized, I haven't taken a sip of water since this meeting started. That's because I forgot my water bottle. I ran through this meeting pretty nicely, so I'm going to refill up. I'll look forward to talking to you folks, though, coming up pretty soon here. Take care.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it today.